Silent Hill 3 Noob's Guide video walkthrough. Subscribe. Creepy amusement park with a bloody horse. Main character introduction moment. Hold up, there seems to be some bloody bunnies. This is Cheryl Mason. She has a knife. It's another bloody bunny. This is Robbie the rabbit. Who is underneath the costume, I hear you ask? We don't know. Popcorn wagon! Heather asks if this is an amusement park after suggesting we head to the roller coaster. So let's go. Dog! Giant... what is that? There's another one! Quick, Heather, to the roller coaster tracks! All seems quiet on the tracks. Wait a minute. Oh no, it was just a nightmare Heather had after falling asleep at the Happy Burger.
What a nightmare.
After leaving the not-so-happy burger, Heather calls her dad to tell him she didn't get that thing he asked her to get. What pointless conversation. But wait a minute, Heather is being followed by a detective called Douglas Cartland.
Hello.
Douglas asked for just half an hour of our time to talk about our birth, to which we swiftly move on.
I'm not interested.
Douglas follows us to the bathroom before saying he'll wait for us. What a fucking weirdo. There's a symbol on the bathroom mirror which Heather recognises, but she can't quite remember where from. After thinking so hard, she gets a headache and expresses her hate for mirrors.
I fucking hate you, you prick.
Then looks at a good luck pendant her dad gave to her on her birthday. Aww. To avoid dirty Douglas, Heather climbs out the bathroom window and heads back through the mall and into this cute little shop where there's a handgun left on the floor and... oh my god, what is that? Heather kindly asks the juicy giant to stay back before firing as it approaches, killing it and then heading out the back door. Let's go upstairs. Dog! There's a key underneath a pallet on the floor, but we can't quite reach it. What is that? It's time for Helen's Bakery. Oh yeah. There's a pair of tongs. Bread. Using the tongs, Heather can now reach the key found underneath the pallet. Oh no you don't. Creepy giant juicy outside Natalie's shoe shop. The key that we picked up lets us access the bookstore where there's a collection of Shakespeare's freestyles on the floor, which have left a gap on the shelf. How intriguing. Ordering these books in a particular fashion reveals the access code for the employees only door. This is where we find the employee of the month.
Howdy, bitch.
Heather asks where everybody is. Good question. Before the employee of the month tells us that they've came to witness the beginning, the rebirth of paradise.
The rebirth of paradise.
What is she on about? Oh, that's not the employee of the month, that's Claudia! Who the fuck's Claudia? Who tells Heather that her powers are needed and to remember her true self. Apparently, Heather is the one who will lead us to paradise with blood-stained hands. Whoa, headache! Motherfucker! Employee of the month, my ass!
I don't get it.
Me neither. There's an elevator around the corner which has no buttons, and a radio which falls from the ceiling. The elevator takes us to this dark place, where there's... what is that? Heather's locked in with this creature which pulls her down further to a corridor filled with dogs. Oh nice, another bathroom. Someone's knocking on the end stool. This door opens up where... we decide to remove the blockage from the middle toilet. You fucking weirdo. This is where Heather asks us who would do such a thing. James Sunderland. There's a hanger which we pick up. Whoa, excuse me lads. There's a room with a ladder halfway down which we pull all the way down after using the hanger which we just picked up. Upstairs now we find a gurney with a corpse on it and a TV playing some static where it seems to say the word daddy. Walnut. Heading up the escalators, we pick a fight with a juicy giant. Come here, you lanky bastard! In a nearby diner, they're serving demonic dog. Back downstairs, there's a steel pipe for us to grab. There's also a corridor which is blocked by butterfly moth things, so Heather creates a combination of bleach and detergent to gas them out. 10 points for creativity. Heather then finds a vice and uses it on the walnut, which doesn't reveal a nut. It reveals a jewel. There are bodies nearby which absolutely stink. Come here, you little shit! Looping back around to where we started, there's a door with a strange red crescent that lets us through when we present the walnut jewel. Oh hell, the walnut jewel! Through the door there's a platform with a very long ladder. Does it lead us back to reality? Does it fuck? It leads us to a deeper, darker shithole before breaking on us so we can't leave. What's that noise? Alien sausage monster!
What is that?
We fight this purple predator in the big arena where he pops his little head out every so often for us to shoot. Killing this fella takes us back to the regular mall. Heather heads back to the not so happy burger to pick up the smiley sandwich for just $3.99 before heading back out and finding the detective. Both us and Douglas are confused as to what's going on and Heather claims that Douglas is in on this with Claudia. the bookstore employee of the month. Douglas explains he was just here to find Heather and he isn't on anybody's side. He asks about the monster, to which Heather essentially says, "Mate, I have no idea." But they both deliberate as to what makes Heather so special. Why does Claudia want her? Why the mall is changing because of her? What is it about her past that's now here to haunt her? Heather remembers something before running down to the subway. Great choice there, Heather, mate. Back underground. Way underground now. Something pushes Heather onto the tracks, where we hear a horn approaching. No big deal, we run along. Back upstairs now, we find a phone that's ringing and we run back around and down again to the platform where we find some dogs. There's also some furniture and a body, all covered in blood. How lovely. Finally making it to the subway train, we find a gift-wrapped box with a shotgun inside. Happy birthday to me. Around the corner now, we find a young man sleeping on the platform. Anyways, moving on. Finally reaching some other tracks, we can see a door with a red light above it. Oh, how inviting. Which Heather can't unlock. Heading back from the door. Train! We avoid getting hit and hop on board. You seem to shut me in. Guys, please, let me out. Guys, no, you're leaving me, please. Guys. Whee! Heather falls over as the train comes to a sudden stop. Leaving this platform now, it seems that this is no ordinary station. What is going on here? In a nearby room we find a mall. Before moving on, there's a wine bottle, don't mind if I do, and some beef jerky. There's some kerosene in a heater which we take by using the empty wine bottle we just picked up. This oil is then used to fuel a tank in this strange labyrinth place. Heather then turns on the tank which drains water, blocking the bottom of a ladder. The ladder takes us to the sewers which guides us down some tight paths and eventually to a room where we pick up a dryer. In a nearby room we find some notes of people working in the sewers who were attacked by monsters in the water. There's also a sign by a steel door which reads, "Danger, do not enter." So of course we enter. Through the door we find an outlet where we plug in the dryer and chuck it into the water, killing whatever monster is in it. Eventually Heather reaches some rusty steel steps which leads to a ladder that rises to an odd open area with a building in the centre. We head to the top floor of this building, finding a toilet. Nice. And a weak part of the wall which we can break down by smacking the shit out of it. Not only do we find a silencer behind this wall, we find some legs. There's a filthy mattress which we can drop into a nearby hole which makes our landing into the hole very pleasant indeed. What is that? Of course we run away from this annoying knobhead and climb through a window which takes us to a very nice office. Searching around the office corridors there seems to be a bunch of mannequins with only one having a head. Let's call him Mark. Heather says that she feels like the ones with a head are watching her before turning the corner to a dead end. Coming back to the mannequins, oh my god, what has happened to Mark? Mark's dead, but that's okay, we move. Heading upstairs to the Gallery of the Fine Arts. There's a screwdriver, very artistic indeed. And a katana, oh yeah. Around the corner in an auto shop room, we find a jack, before heading back downstairs. Using the screwdriver, we break open a drawer which was open a smidge and inside we find a rope. Back upstairs there's an elevator which is open a little bit, so Heather uses the jack to bust it open fully and then throws the rope to climb down. Beef jerky. There's a bath which begins to fill with blood, as Heather gets a headache and the entire room transforms into the other world. Heather wakes up, kicks the bath. That's horrific. Things are getting weird. There's a note on a nearby room which says, "Find the Holy One, kill her," and attached is a photo of Heather. Walking through the door near the note we find some bloke who happens to know Heather's name, or at least that's what she's now called, he says. This is Vincent, who tells us that he's on our side despite the assassination note right outside his room. Vincent is shocked when we imply that he could be working with Claudia as she was brainwashed by some crazy old hag. The crazy old hag in question is apparently Heather's mother. Vincent is stunned to learn that we don't know what's going on, and he says that Harry didn't tell us anything. I won't accept any Harry slander given all the shit that we went through. Sorry. Vincent says that he knows everything and finds this place fascinating. Heather says that there is something wrong with Vincent just like Claudia, and she leaves him to it. We then raid his stash of health drinks and Oxidol. Ha ha ha! On this floor is a greasy guy who has a book in front of him which reads of an old tale about a monster that could not be killed even by the swords of kings and other stuff. Heather recognises this book but can't remember how it ends. Anyways, she thinks it's best that we stay away from the monster. I think that's best too, Heather. In a nearby cafe kind of place, we pick up some pork liver. On this floor we find a matchbook and learn that Heather used to be a smoker. There seems to be a wheelchair beyond the sheet of glass which is unbreakable. I'm not quite sure why we want to go so far as to smash some glass for a wheelchair in this scenario, but hey, there we go. There's a photo which reads, "By the remains may a person find the road to paradise," and Heather says that she recognises this photo before entering mega creative mode. We then combine oxidol and the pork liver in a bucket and we light it with one of the matches in front of the painting, which then melts away and reveals entry into this very odd room. In this room we find extracts of the fairy tale, which says that the priestess tried to talk to the monster of eating people before the monster killed her. There's a silver coin on a desk and writing on a wall which says, "Thus one's life turns to riches." What was a bag of silver coins is... Anyways, we used the coin to get a drink from the vending machine, but hold up, no liquid, just a life insurance key. How weird. We can use the key on an upcoming door. There's a room covered in blood, which has the end of the fairy tale. The king and his people shed tears at the death. The princess opened her eyes just as she had done every morning. "Fool! You wish to die again." The princess used neither sword nor spear. She chanted but a single spell. Tu fui huigo uris. The villagers then called her an absolute legend. Heather then repeats the spell, tui fui huigo uris, and we hear a demonic cry in the distance. The path which was originally blocked by the big monster that we saw is now open, and this door takes us back outside. Heather heads home to find her dad watching TV, but wait a minute. They killed my boy Harry! Heather sprints after the blood trail which takes her to the rooftop, where we find the employee of the month, who claims that the Order's dream would have came true if it wasn't for what Harry did 17 years ago. Claudia then says that Heather needs to remember her true self as she will birth the god and build an eternal paradise. Claudia points out this beast and says that he was the one that killed Harry.
Hello there.
She then scurries off and says that she'll be in the town of Silent Hill. We absolutely kick this big boy's ass and head back downstairs to our apartment, where we find Douglas now inspecting our dad's body. He tells us to calm down before we lay Harry to rest in the bedroom, and Heather says her task now is to visit Silent Hill, where she will kill Claudia. Douglas says that he can help by giving us a ride into Silent Hill. He also says that he doesn't care if he dies. I just wanted to say, rest in peace Harry. You were a great character to play as. Good luck in the afterlife. Nice. See you there. We meet Douglas outside, where he says that he just spoke with a guy named Vincent, who claimed to be a friend of ours. He gave Douglas a map and told him that we should find a guy named Leonard. Douglas also gave us a document that Harry was holding when he died. Douglas and Heather speak about Silent Hill and its very weird history. Heather says that she was born and raised there. She goes on to tell the story of Silent Hill. You know, when Harry absolutely fucked up Dahlia's plans and we walked away with the baby. Well, that baby is Heather. Heather and Douglas talk about who's scared of being left alone. Ooh, it's me guys, please don't leave me. And agree to meet up after we finish searching the hospital. The notepad that Douglas found on our dad essentially tells us the backstory that we need to know about Harry's journey through Silent Hill. You know, Alessa, the birth of God, the rebirth and spawn of Heather. This is the proof that we need that the baby Harry pretty much stole at the end of the game was Heather. Heading outside now, we can see that we're not too far away from the hospital, so we make our way straight there, but not before a quick stop in the strip club. Ooh, yeah! Gotta go. After a long journey from around the corner, we make it to the hospital. In the hospital, there's a very strange note and a doll. This note is from Stanley Coleman, who says that he's excited to meet Heather and has been waiting for this day in his gloomy cell. And the prize doll is to commemorate this meeting, the start of this everlasting love. Heather says no thank you and moves on. On this floor we find another note from Stanley, which he says he knows Heather is trying to get closer to him. It's virtue, the path to paradise. There's also some sadistic love note on the notice board nearby, which vary from cute compliments of her nice blue eyes to wondering if she would scream when she's in pain. He is officially gone. There's a corpse nearby with some tattoo notes, including another love note to someone called Margaret, and the start time is my key. How strange. In the room across we hear an alarm clock that we turn off. There's also an instant camera locked in a briefcase on one bed and another note from Stanley on the other. This note explains that the alarm clock and bag belong to the dead tattoo guy, and Stanley contemplates tattooing himself for Heather, but he wants something a bit more forceful than I love you. Jesus Christ. Hopefully the next room isn't as dramatic as this. Get down, you bastard. There's some nail polish remover and perfume in a locker. Downstairs is another note. Oh my god. This time Stanley is saying that he isn't crazy, and he asks us why we haven't taken the doll yet. There are various items glued on the wall, like a Christmas card, spoon, stairwell key. We use the nail polish remover to get the key off the wall. After using the stairwell key, we head straight up to another note. This note says, I also like the rooftop. It makes me want to fly. You too? We then head downstairs because, to be honest, I don't want to fly. Reaching the special treatment room, there's a memo that says someone is here as a punishment for brutality towards another patient. Well, in the end cell is another note from Stanley, which, to be honest, isn't the worst one. It basically just says, why wouldn't we accept his love and shit like that. But this note around the corner says that he is in fact always watching us. He says that there isn't a single normal person in Silent Hill but him. On our way downstairs we come across a wheelchair which has been recently pushed over. There's also a blood trail leading around the corner which takes us to an elevator and a submachine gun. Result. In a room close by there's a suspicious gap where we can stick our arm in and take a picture, revealing a mark on the cabinet which says 4728. This code lets us unlock a door upstairs which reveals another wing of the hospital. In this wing of the hospital is another note from Stanley and the doll which has now been decapitated and is missing a leg. The note says, "Goodbye, Heather. I'm sorry I wasn't able to respond to your love." Stanley writes that Leonard had interfered with this, and that's why we couldn't meet. He says Leonard is no ordinary guy. In the room next door, the phone is ringing. When we answer it, a man is venting to who he assumes is Claudia about how confused she is, and when we explain that we're not Claudia, he introduces himself as Leonard Wolf, and that Claudia is his daughter. Leonard is genuinely understanding of our hatred towards Claudia and agrees that she is a fool. He asks for our help and says that he must stop Claudia, but he is locked at the end of the hall on the second floor, and that he has a seal. Now when we go through the door at the end of the second hall, we're met with an absolute maze of rusty walls and chain-linked blockades. This maze eventually leads to the seal of Metatron, which doesn't give Heather the same headache that she gets when she looks at the other symbol, the halo of the sun. Then a strange video plays as a memory, and it's a broken version of the hospital tape that Harry found. After this memory, the overworld has taken over and everything is scary. There's a ladder for us to climb nearby. At the top of the ladder is all kinds of horrific things going on. Bloody walls, bodies being dragged. It's a mess. Down the bloody corridor is a room, and not just any room, a sour smelling bright red room. We head out the back of the room, kill some more of those little shits with the katana, and move on. It's the bathroom, it's the bloody bathroom. No, literally, it's the bloody bathroom. I mean, what is going on here? There's a phone that's ringing in the locker. Casual. This person calling sings us happy birthday. Apparently, this isn't Stanley, and Stanley is simply known as Seven. This caller asks us to pick a present, to give pain or receive it. Oh, what a thoughtful gift. These lockers are all a bit strange. How about we take some of this blood from the bucket for ourselves, because you know what? We're a bit strange too. There are lots of gurneys with numbers and memos on top of them. We have to match these memos with the 4 verses on the oven door and put those numbers on the correct gurney together to unlock the door. Oh, it's just simple, isn't it? Anyways, inside the oven is a cremated key. Upstairs we find a note on the floor telling us that someone is a protector of the seal and is sacrificing themselves to the blood of the criminals. Weird. There's a memo from Dr. Midkiff saying to be extra cautious with the patient in the room 312 over religious disputes and violence. Out my way! There's a makeshift altar with lit candles, a knife and the smell of blood. Next to the altar is a book telling us the ways that someone can follow the ritual sacrifice, offering prayers, piercing a man's chest and drenching the altar in blood from the heart, it says. Hey, remember that blood that we picked up earlier? Well, presenting this blood to the altar makes a ladder appear behind us. Oh mama! There's a massive amount of water at the bottom of the ladder, and strangely a man who calls out Heather's name. Heather? We learn that this man is Leonard, and he can now leave because of us, that Claudia's dream is now over. There's frequent cuts to a lot of weird shit, like an open corpse along with Leonard expressing his religious beliefs, which by the way is just as odd as Claudia's beliefs. Heather says she thought Leonard was just a normal person, and this convinces Leonard that we are here to trick him and destroy God, after running away with his beloved seal. Leonard then pops out of the water and reveals that he isn't a regular person at all.
Is every person here a mental case?
Get down, Leonard! We absolutely kick Leonard's ass. Of course we do. Which causes our world to change again, and we wake up in the hospital room where things seem normal. Oh, wait a minute. It seems we brought this seal with us from the other world. This is the seal of Metatron. There's a cutscene of Claudia arguing with Vincent about how he sent us to kill her dad. We did that ourselves, my love. Vincent says that the faith Claudia is seeking is just her want for love, which Claudia can't accept. Heather heads back to the motel where we don't find Douglas, we find Vincent. What are you doing in my motel room, you creepy bastard? Heather implies that someone else was just here. Vincent says that it was only Douglas who left a message for us. The church is the other side of the lake. How strange. Vincent then gives us perfect directions and asks if we trust him. No, Vincent, we don't trust you. You just broke into my motel room. Anyways, Vincent explains in his directions that we need to head for the amusement park. You know, the one from our dreams where we got absolutely smacked in. Wait a minute. Things change to the other world after Heather gets a stomachache, and things are exactly as they were in our dream. Hey look, it's Novelty Robbie the Rabbit! To the roller coaster again, Heather! Now wait a minute, this is where we died in our dream, but not this time. Heather jumps off the track and we're met with a cutscene of our boy Doug speaking to Claudia. We learn that Claudia hired him. Douglas says that he isn't happy with being tricked into this after Claudia says that Heather is just brainwashed by Harry. Claudia says Heather carries the god inside of her. Oh my god. Then Douglas. I've spelled it wrong in my script and I didn't put Douglas, I put Douglas. Then Douglas raises his gun to Claudia and the cutscene ends. Waking up now, we head through the spooky haunted mansion of the amusement park. Ooh, now the novelty bodies used here are actually real bodies, so something dodgy is definitely going on. We go to leave the haunted mansion, but it seems the exit door has actually taken us to another part of the mansion. Run, Heather! There's a red light chasing you! Oh, that was easy. It's a lot quieter out here. There's a red shoe on some grate, and a chain on a table. By using the chain, we connect the rusty door blocking our path to the carousel. Heather now turns on the ride, which begins to turn and busts open the big door. Douglas! Douglas is on the floor and says that he can't move his right leg and thinks that he broke it. Douglas asks what do we do now if this god thing is born, and we need to prepare as something is going to happen. We leave Douglas and move on. But wait, he holds up a gun and says that killing us might end this nightmare.
Is the only way to end this nightmare.
Heather literally doesn't care and walks on. We find Douglas's notebook where Heather learns that he was hired by Claudia to search for Alyssa, who is now under the alias of Heather. Ooh. There's another note which says my daughter was taken for a sacrifice for Dahlia. It says the daughter's name was Cheryl, and the note is dated back 17 years ago. From Harry Mason. Oh my god, so Heather is Cheryl. Boom! Let's celebrate this discovery by heading to this fun carousel. Not so fun carousel. We've got to hit these horses, which makes everything around us turn a little bit weird. Wait a minute, what? We get into a fight with our bloody self. Get back, you spooky bitch. This version of Heather leaves a note when she dies saying that she would rather kill herself than give birth to a god that will cause so much pain. And this note is signed by Alyssa. Heading away from that creepy note, there's a door telling us that this is the gate to the road of paradise and to embrace the bosom of the Holy Mother. Well, 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 employee of the month, eh? Heather mimics the identity of Alyssa and says that all of this, the road to paradise, isn't what she wants. These two get into a heated rap battle where Heather gets a stomachache and Claudia walks away. Through the back door of this chapel place, we find a child drawing of a map and head into this confessions box. In this box, we hear a lady confess the sin she has committed and the pain she has caused. We decide to say we forgive her because we're nice like that. Around the corner in this otherworld-like corridor, we find a young man sleeping again and kick the shit out of him because he's blocking our path. In the room he was blocking is a cassette tape and some notes of the halo of the sun and what it means. A girl is crying and there is a bloody trail which leads to a photo. This is covering a door. Behind this door is another spooky corridor which takes us to this dedicated Halo of the Sun room, where there are various paintings. One of these paintings shows Alyssa holding a baby. Heather then explains that both of these people are her. She goes on to say that thanks to reincarnation, she died as Alyssa, but is now still living as her current self. Heather says that the thought of this reincarnation journey makes her stomach turn. Get your ass back! Intrigued by the wide selection of books, Heather looks around the library where Vincent now shows up.
Hello.
Vincent emphasises that he isn't like Claudia, although he does follow the same religion, and he supports Heather in trying to stop her. He can't do it himself though, as he doesn't have powers like Heather or Claudia. Vincent then says that we enjoy taking them out. The monsters, we ask?
Monsters? They look like monsters to you?
Vincent ensures that we have the seal of Metatron, as it is apparently very important. He then hands us a fat book, which explains the powers of the seal of Metatron, and says that it's there to support whichever path someone wants to take, for good or for evil. Downstairs now, we really are in the armpit of hell. But within this armpit place, we find a room which is identical to Harry's bedroom. But instead of Harry laying on the bed, we find a diary. This diary of Harry says that he suspects Cheryl is Alyssa, and shows some concern regarding the whole identity situation. This is what confirms that Heather is the reincarnation of both Cheryl and Alyssa. Excuse me. Things really get concerning as we now see some hooks above some gurneys with young girls hanging above this monster. Let's go, please. Following a blood trail now, we find a hidden door on a wall which takes us to the room where Alyssa was kept in the hospital before Harry saved her. What are you doing? Now then, quite like the end of Silent Hill, Heather finds this child's bedroom where there's a brass key in a frame and a sketchbook on the bed. This is Heather's sketchbook, which includes some notes of more confusion over her identity, that she had dreams of being someone else entirely. There's also a memo on the desk that says, "Beyond this door, I can sense that she's there." But not only can they sense a girl, they can sense a god. The memo says that they wish to save the two girls, and this also looks like it's written by Harry. We explore this otherworld labyrinth again in search of the tarot cards which unlock the back door of the child's bedroom. Heather then discovers an oddly normal classroom, but all the desks have been moved apart from one, and on this one in the centre are some hate notes like, "Fuck you, you smelly poo-poo pants," and "Your mother stinks." In a note at the front, we learn that Alyssa was badly bullied and even called a witch. There's a radio player where we pop in the cassette that we found earlier. This cassette tells of the memories of 17 years ago. The recording tells us that God is still waiting to be born from the Holy Mother after the wickedness of Harry stopping the birth 17 years ago. The woman in the recording says the Holy Mother has been found by Claudia and this place may become paradise. After finding the tarot cards, we open the door in the child's bedroom. Through this door is an otherworld corridor that leads us to Vincent and Claudia, who are arguing over God's creation of everything around them. Claudia says Vincent will go to hell. And then we walk in. Hello, motherfuckers. Vincent becomes an absolute G and tells us to kill this crazy bitch, that the time has come. Claudia stabs our guy Vincent and says that this isn't the end, it's just the beginning. Apparently only God can save us, but not Claudia, as she says that what she has done to Alyssa is too deep a sin, that sacrifices had to be made for the day of eternal paradise.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Vincent calls out and tells us to use the seal of Metatron. Claudia says that it won't do shit, before finally killing Vincent and saying we can't run. Whoa, what's going on? What's going on? This is apparently what Claudia wants as we fight the urge to birth whatever it is that's inside of us. But using our ultra creative thinking skills, we use the pendant that our dad gave us, where we swallow whatever's inside. Probably the walnut. Oh hell, the walnut jewel! This pendant forces Heather to throw up this monstrous fetus thing, which Claudia then eats in front of us. And then she heads to the altar and is dragged into a hole. This is really fucked up. We decide to jump into the hole too. Of course we do. Where we find Claudia's clothes and God. Get out of here, God! Oh mama lads, this is it! Fuck you, you cheeky shit! We kill this God thing and kick its face in. Heather then breaks down over the loss of her dad, as this is actually the first little break that we've had since she died, so let her have her moment. She then walks out back to the amusement park where we find Douglas.
Is it really over?
Not yet.
What, Heather?
Gotcha, bitch!
Heather then claims the name Harry gave to her, Cheryl Mason. She then says the blondes have more fun. Tee. Guys, once again, I'm going to be freestyling this outro. I hope you enjoyed this Noob's Guide video walkthrough for Silent Hill 3. What did you think of it? Give me your thoughts in the comments. I would love to see what you guys thought. And if you did enjoy this video and are excited to see the next part of this series, hit subscribe. I can't wait to see you in the next one. Goodbye.